I took a great course a couple years ago, the Knowles Wilderness Medicine course. It was my local REI. It cost a couple $100. It was a whole weekend, and you learned all the techniques, and you got to practice them. And it was great, but it's been a few years, and I don't remember all of that. And if I was in a wilderness situation, I would probably wish I took that again, which is why they recommend that you take that periodically. But I know that most casual hikers don't want to do that. I recommend maybe taking it at least once in your life just to know. But I figured, isn't this information on an app or something? There's a few apps that are out there that are very text heavy, and I look at these and I think if I'm in shock, if I'm in a medical emergency, sifting through all this text is not going to be practical. And that's where the GUIDEWITHGOES Health app comes in. This is not paid by them. This is just a review. I'm just a user. I paid for it myself. But it's really neat because it takes all that information and puts it into nice checklists and visuals that make it easy to figure out what's going on. Now, I spoke with the people who did this. It's the two people sort of behind it are a person who was in healthcare technology for many years, and the other person is a guy who started the wilderness medicine program at Stanford and is an expert in wilderness medicine. And this app essentially takes all that information, puts it into a very easy to process form, again, with visuals and checklists. Let me show you around real quick. So here's the app. It starts out on the home screen. You can see on the bottom here, we have home, we have library, which has all of the different conditions. We have assess, which lets us go through and assess from the start. And there's also a 24/7 helpline where you can call a wilderness medicine trained doctor that's on call. This subscription level is a little bit higher. I'll talk about costs in the end, but this is one of the menus. But let's go to home. This is the weather. This is where we are now. It's interesting, we have a forecast here, and we can go even farther. Once you search for it, it gets saved offline, and then you could scroll through the hours of the day and see what it is, and you get a current elevation. But this is a kind of boring one. So let's go to Mount Whitney. Let's go to the summit. And now I can get the weather for Mount Whitney summit. And the same thing, I have the forecast in advance, and I have down here, a risk of sunburn, what time it happens, and I have an elevation. But what's really neat is you can see right here, it gives me this risk factor, these conditions that could potentially be happening based on what time I'm going. And if I click on that, then it tells me a little bit more about what I should look out for. And then I can hit learn more down here. And then learn more will give me a basically an in-depth description of what these possible things are. You can see there are 3 different flavors of this high altitude illness right down here, and I can click into that and learn more. Within each one of these pages, there is prevention, symptoms, and care. And I'm going to show you how to go through this so you don't really have to learn about this. But this is nice if you're just casually browsing. You can read through this, especially if we're preparing for a trip. You can read ahead and know what to look for. But this isn't what I come to when I actually have a problem. But it is in there, and it is related to the situation. You can see here, same thing with sunburn. And we have different information about that. So that's the weather. And again, it's a forecast that gets saved offline, and you have it in there in case you need it. So next, let's go to library. And library is where it lists all of the different conditions. You can see there's these tabs up on top where we can filter down. And this is kind of the core of, if you know what's happening, you can search on here. Let's just say tick. And here we go. There's ticks and tick bites. Same thing under learn. We have this whole thing here about ticks with these different tabs telling us about it. And then we also have this assess. And assess is where I think the real strength is here. If I hit assess, I get this questionnaire. And at the bottom, I can tap on what the answer is. So let's say, yes, I can see it. It's telling me how to remove the tick. And then at the end of that, is there a small piece of tick? Let's just say yes. How long was the tick attached for? Less than 36 hours. And it says that I can continue my adventure. And then I can go back to, if I want to change the answer, let's just say it was more than 36 hours. Now it's asking me if I'm in an area with Lyme's disease. Then I can hit yes. It's asking me if I want antibiotics. So I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but you can see it's very comprehensive in terms of the questionnaire and what I can, what I can get from this. And we can always go back And you can see it's telling you what to do. So I can walk myself out, I can call for help, or I can't walk out and I don't have cell service. It's telling you what you can do. Emergency signaling. It's got everything great here. Follow the guide on how to signal for help. I'm going to show you guides in a second, but we can go through this, and then it's giving me a little illustrated guide to basically, in this case, get signaled, but it has this for other medical situations as well. And again, this is visual. It's not all text, so I can go through step by step and figure it out. Now, if I go down here, let's look at this one called wound care. If I want to get right to those guides, I can just click that down arrow. And here we go. There are more of these types of animated guides here that will show me what I need to do if I want to, deal with this situation. And again, this database right here has a bunch of different situations that you can look up, all kinds of things, flooding. They don't all have an assess, because obviously assess isn't necessarily applicable for something like a hurricane, but all kinds of very helpful information. Now let's go to the assess tab, which kind of starts you out from the beginning. So let's say high altitude, cold climate, and a cliff rock fall. Now I can go on here and figure out what parts of my body are hurt. And I just tap on that area. It's kind of neat. We can go back as well. And then I hit forward, and then it's giving me all the different things that could be possible based on what I said. And from here, we can do assess. Head injury is a great one, because that's one I never really know too much about. Adults, I'm not sure. Disoriented. See, we can just go through this questionnaire, and then it tells you, hey, this could be bleeding in the brain, which is great, because I wouldn't have known that otherwise. And then I can hit continue. And then again, we can do these things where we can walk out and, go from there. So really powerful between the weather, the learn, the assess, and then all of these different guides. Here's CPR. Really, really helpful. And obviously this could save your life, having all of this in a really easy to get to format right in your pocket on your phone. You could see this is really neat, and it's not even just for you necessarily. It can also be, you can use this to help somebody else that you come upon on the trail. Now, this does come at a cost. Here are the available plans. If you just want it per month, all that information offline, $1.99. And they also have this 24-hour support monthly. So that's it. Kudos to those guys. I know they won an award for that. I think it's a great app. It's a great idea, and it will be in my toolbox. Hopefully, I do not have to use it. All right, guys, if you have any questions, leave them below, and I'll see you out on the trails.